Quite a while ago, I received a request to review a horror movie which I really don't like. I said in my previous video that it's a Christmas themed horror movie, and well, there aren't really that many bad Christmas horror movies to choose. There's the remake of Black Christmas, which is mainly a letdown considering that the original is miles better. And then there's Silent Night, Deadly Night, which already sucked when it was released in 1984. I think that the remake that was made a few years now ago, when was it, 2012, also isn't much better. So yeah, I hate that movie. It's one of the worst horror movies I have ever seen. And I'm going to make quite a controversial statement right now. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 is miles better than the first film. You see, even though both failed to be scary, at least the acting and storyline in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 is so ridiculously bad that it's entertaining. It's like watching a parody, and I laughed at several points during that film. I judge films by how much they entertain me. If a movie is so bad that it's funny, then I would rather watch such a movie than a film which bores me and feels like a chore to watch. And the latter is exactly how I feel about Silent Night, Deadly Night. And yeah, in case you're wondering, this was laced with alcohol. Pushkin vodka to be exact. Yeah. So I'm getting drunk, so if in case this video is going to get released after Christmas, it's because I have a bad hangover. Okay. So anyway, the acting in Silent Night, Deadly Night is underwhelming. The story is dull and quite lazy, to say the least. Yeah, oh my god, a killer is on the rampage and he's dressed like Santa Claus. That's so scary. It's obvious that the whole purpose of this film was just to be controversial, cause without the Santa outfit this would just be another dull slasher, which would have been forgotten relatively soon after its release. It reminds me a lot of some contemporary singers which do all kinds of crazy controversial things, cause that gives them enough attention to turn their otherwise underwhelmingly dull songs into hits. So let's just go quickly through this film, and every time I'm going to come across something that's really stupid, I'm going to take a sip of this. Oh, how much vodka did I put? Like, over half of this is vodka. So let's begin. First of all, the film begins with one of the most obvious jump scares ever. Everybody who's going to watch this movie knows that it's a horror movie, so such cheap tactics are more or less useless, especially if they happen in the first 20 seconds of the film. Like, come on, you know it's going to be a slasher movie, and then one of a sudden you hear this lovely Christmas song, and of course it's going to be a jump scare. Obvious. Just obvious. Anyway, the story begins with a family visiting their grandpa at the madhouse. He's not responsive and he looks like he's suffering from the sleepy sickness too. If you don't know what that is, look it up or watch the movie Awakenings. It's a way better film than Silent Night, Deadly Night. Anyway, the moment the parents leave their boy alone, the grandfather suddenly awakes and tells his grandson that Santa is going to punish those who were naughty when Christmas comes. And apparently everybody has been a little bit naughty in the last year. 5 minutes into the film and you can already guess what's going to happen. Lame. Also, the acting is really bad. But not in a so bad it's fun way, just underwhelmingly bad. And after he says to the boy that he should run for his life if he sees Santa Claus, he decides to once again pretend that he has the brain of a vegetable. And apparently he's able to fool everyone, even the doctors there. He's a good actor in that sense. Bravo! And so the family drives home. And coincidentally, a criminal dressed as Santa Claus decides to rob a store, kill the owner of the store, and he did it to get $31, really a big amount. And then the family comes across him because his car stopped working. What a coincidence again! And he decides to kill the parents because the writers of this film lacked enough creativity, so they just created a killer who appears out of nowhere and kills people just for the sake of killing people. Bravo! Oh, and the mother's boobs are also shown since the killer exposes them before he slits her throat. This is a common theme throughout the movie. You'll see later what's the reasoning behind it, but I think that the real reason is that they wanted another controversial thing in this film. So what better way to get attention in the 80s than to show some tits? Yeah. Also, if you look closely, you can see that the mother's heart is still beating against her chest. And really, how did nobody notice this when they were filming it? Like, seriously. I was bored to death, and the moment he slit her throat and you see the second camera shot, you just see. Really? Anyway, a lullaby is playing while we get to see the corpses of the parents. It's not scary, it's not creepy, it's not even funny, but it does feel like a bad parody that completely fails to be funny. Anyway, the two children survive somehow. How they manage to do that is never explained, since we go from the killer looking for the child, screaming, "I'll kill you, bastard!" And the next moment we get a scene that happens a few years later in an orphanage. Seriously, what? Did the killer just disappear into thin air? Like, at least you could have made, I don't know, a police car drive by so that the killer ran away or something. Such lazy writing. And since the killer just disappeared, I think you can kind of guess who is going to replace him as the story progresses. It's quite obvious. The moment I saw this, without even reading what's going to happen, I just knew that this is going to take place. But anyway, the boys end up in an orphanage where the person who decides everything is Mother Super Bitch. Okay, her name is Mother Superior, and she is by far the most dislikable character in the whole film, since the only thing that we learn from her lovely personality is that she's a strict disciplinarian killjoy who has no clue how people with traumatic memories feel. Why couldn't the psycho killer have shot her? Seriously. While Billy was in the orphanage, he sees two teenagers having sex, and having sex means that you're naughty. It certainly doesn't help that Mother Super Bitch also finds out about them, calls those two teenagers devils, and bids them with a belt to punish them. Because punishment is good.
But when we do something naughty, we are always caught. And then we are punished. Punishment is absolute. Punishment is necessary. Punishment is good.
Also, the nun beats Billy with the belt because he went outside, since one of the other nuns asked him to go outside. And later she ties him to the bed when he has nightmares about what happened, and after that she drags him and forces him to sit on Santa's lap, and of course the kid freaks out and punches the Santa Claus in the face. You can kind of guess what happens next. Yeah, but at least this part of the film uses some logic, unlike everything before and everything that comes after. 10 years later, Billy is 18 years old and leaves the orphanage, so one of the nuns gets him a job at a toy store. a few months before Christmas. Like, what's next? Will the store owner tell him to wear a Santa Claus costume? That's going to happen, isn't it? It's totally going to happen. Also, while Billy is at the store, he feels attracted to one of the women who works there. And that means he's naughty, cause sex is bad. And by another coincidence, the person who is dressed up as Santa Claus at the store breaks his ankle, so the agency has no one to replace him with. The store owner doesn't want to be dressed as Santa, so he picks Billy. Color me surprised! Oh my god, I'm going to be so drunk today. Also, whoever wrote the script must have realized how stupid everything is so far, so I'm not surprised that some of the lines sound like they were taking a piss take at the whole movie. Slightly fun, but not enough fun to make the whole movie entertaining.
Very realistic, isn't it, Mrs. Rent?
He's definitely fat and jolly.
Take a closer look at yourself in the mirror, Billy. And just remember, be jolly. Lots of ho, ho, ho. Try not to scare the little bastards. Sometimes they cry their heads off because they think the old guy's scary. Silly, isn't he? Yeah.
Maybe if all of the lines were like this, maybe then I would enjoy this movie just a little bit. But like this, I just giggle like once and then I'm like, when will this be over? Yeah. Let's continue. While Billy is being Santa Claus and making both himself and the kids uncomfortable, the nun who got him the job finds out what Billy is doing right now. So what do you think is going to happen? Will she tell the person who she's talking to that Billy has problems and they should keep an eye on him? No, she just puts down the receiver and looks like an idiot into the air. Seriously? I mean, seriously. Like, why is everybody so stupid in this film? Like, what's next? Will the nun find out that a room in the orphanage is burning down, and instead of calling the firefighters, she would drink a cup of tea before taking action? Or she would get drunk? I don't know. Also, this movie fails miserably at building both suspense and tension. Sorry, but Christmas songs, Santa Claus costumes, and nutcrackers aren't scary. They aren't. They simply aren't. Anyway, the people at the store celebrate Christmas by getting drunk, and so does Billy, and then a lot of ridiculously bad dialogue follows that somehow makes Billy snap. And why the fuck didn't he change out of the stupid Santa Claus costume? Like, the kids all long gone. I really shouldn't have watched this movie when I was sober. And why the fuck did I decide to get drunk while I review it? I should have gotten drunk before and now I should have been sober. Whatever. Billy goes into one of the rooms where he finds that one of his co-workers wants to basically rape the girl he feels attracted to. And surprise, surprise, he tears up her blouse. And apparently she also doesn't wear any underwear. Like any other woman in this film. Like, seriously, where are your bras? Like, was there a trend in the 80s that women didn't wear bras, that you can just rip their clothes off and one of a sudden titties? Like, seriously. Like, I don't get this film. And yeah, Billy completely loses his mind, sees images from the past, and decides to first kill the co-worker and then also the girl, cause they were naughty. Yeah, getting raped means you're naughty. Good. If this film was made today, feminists would have a whole field day moaning about how this film promotes rape culture. But in all seriousness, Billy's behavior is completely ununderstandable here. But then again, this is a film where a killer Santa Claus decides to go on a rampage, so I shouldn't be surprised. He kills 2 more people, the boss with a hammer, and I shit you not, he chases the woman with the very annoying voice.
Mr. Sims! Oh, Mr. Sims! Come out here and see this. It's lovely.
Through the store and kills her with a bow. Granted, I don't live in the USA, but I highly doubt that they are selling actual bows. You know, those that are meant to kill animals, or even people if you think like that. And yeah, in a store that sells toys. Okay, this scene made me slightly giggle cause it was so fucking stupid, but it was not supposed to be funny. That's the thing. Also, because this scene made me giggle doesn't mean that I will all of a sudden like the movie, because one scene that makes me giggle doesn't make up for a whole movie that's underwhelmingly bad. After that, Santa takes the axe and leaves. And coincidentally, just then, one of the nuns shows up and finds the slaughtered people. About freaking time. Took her probably hours to finally get there from that stupid orphanage. I wonder how long it will take her to call the cops. Like, seriously. Oh my god, I think the alcohol is starting to kick in. In the meantime, Billy breaks into a home where a young couple are having sex. Yeah, everybody in this film seems to have sex. A lot. And we once again see boobies. Well, this time it kind of makes sense if the couple is having sex, and at first it doesn't feel forced, but then the woman goes upstairs from the basement to let her cat in. And during this, she decides to be basically almost completely naked. She opens the door with her boobs showing and calls for the cat for like 15 seconds. Yeah, right. Next to that people were out there because just moments before they heard people singing Christmas songs. Who in the right mind would go almost naked to the front of their door in December? You're just asking to get pneumonia. So Billy decides to punish her, cause apparently if a woman has boobs, that means she's naughty. Also, do Americans use doors made out of cardboard, because he basically hits the door twice with the axe and one of a sudden it just drops down. Doesn't work like that. So yeah, he punishes her by impaling her on antlers. Plus 1 point for creativity and minus 1 point for calm the fuck on. First of all, the antlers are way too high for him to do that. Secondly, antlers are quite hard, but they certainly aren't sharp enough for them to impale somebody. At least I don't think they are. Also, how the fuck didn't the boyfriend hear any of this? The girlfriend somehow, despite the radio being turned on, heard a cat bell from outside of her house while she was in the fucking basement. But the boyfriend can't hear a woman screaming and the door getting destroyed with an axe. I know that I'm overanalyzing this stupid film, but when something doesn't entertain me, I pay more attention to other things, and when the details don't make sense, I point them out. I think you kind of notice that pattern when I review things. So anyway, the boyfriend goes upstairs, finds the corpse, has a fight with Billy, and he pushes him down the stairs, and then decides to turn his back and call the police. You can kind of guess what happens next. He gets killed. Then we see that the police is finally informed, but they are chasing the wrong Santa Claus. Why are the police in films always so useless? After that, we see how two bullies take the sleds of two other teenagers, cause apparently teenagers go sledding in the middle of the night on Christmas evening. And one of the bullies gets decapitated by Billy. So far, this is the only good death in the film, and it also happened to an unlikable person, so great work, film. You finally did something right. The next day, the nun and one of the officers figure out that Billy's next target is the orphanage. A police officer there shots Santa Claus, but it turns out that it was the wrong one, and the police officer gets killed by Billy. You know what? Maybe this film is finally going to get something right, at least towards the ending. Please let Mother Super Bitch be the next one, please. So Billy enters the orphanage, is face to face with Mother Super Bitch. She repeats a few times that there is no Santa Claus, which makes her naughty, and just as the axe is raised, Billy gets shot. Come on, really? Couldn't you have waited for 2 more seconds? I just wanted to see the axe split her head into two. Yes, I know, it's cruel, but she was an annoying character, and it really annoys me that out of all people who could have been killed, she somehow survives. Really? So Billy dies, and shortly after that, his brother says the word naughty. Dramatic music.
Naughty.
You can guess what happens in the sequel. Who's going to be the murderer? And guess what? Mother Super Bitch actually gets killed. Granted, it's not the same actress, but it's supposedly the same character, so bravo, you did something right. She even gets decapitated, how much I remember. So all in all, this movie is a huge letdown. And, excuse me, I need to drink more. Ugh. I'm so drunk right now. Yeah, I'm totally shit-faced. Okay, so let's get this together. This film is not scary. It's at times laughingly bad, but most of the time it's just underwhelmingly bad. But yeah, in whole, it's just a pain to watch it. Most things in this movie feel painfully forced. The acting also doesn't help. It just comes across as really, really, really cheap. Granted, I don't agree with the protests that happened to this film because a lot of Christian groups got really offended because, oh no, the killer is Santa Claus. No, I don't agree with them. But the film is also bad for what it is. It simply sucks. Sorry, but it really sucks. It wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't entertaining in the slightest. It was just a really, really, really cheap slasher movie, and from that era you got so many better films. So do not waste your time on this unless you feel like your day is too good and you want to ruin it. Or you want to get drunk like me. So, anyway. Yeah, I think I'm going to finish the review here. You kind of can guess what I feel about this movie right now if you've paid at least some attention. And excuse me, I still have to now edit the whole video. Oh, okay. I'm getting too drunk, so I think it's probably for the best if I get kind of sober before I edit this video. So accept this film to be released somewhere on the 26th, probably yeah, on the 26th, because Christmas is just too good to be ruined by such a bad movies, so the day after Christmas should do. So yeah, stay tuned. I probably will also make one more video or two more videos in this year. Probably not drunk, or maybe I will make that one reading drama. Probably drunk. Maybe I'll see what I'll do. Maybe I'll do something special for New Year's Eve, because on New Year's Eve I almost always get really drunk. So until then, yeah, stay tuned. Bye.